Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And we got some interesting news today, don't we? Oh my God. What is happening? How is this happening? How is this possible? Well, first, I hope that all of my audio is working and we are not having any issues with sound or video, because that would be bad, right? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? So we got a few people in here. Goofyfoot, it's not clickbait. I would say this is definitely the biggest news that you've heard all year concerning Arcade 1UP. But it's just not one or two things. It's actually quite a few things that I'm gonna talk about. So it should be a very exciting stream. And I'm gonna try and keep it as professional as possible. So if I sound like really super nasally, it's because I'm still getting over my sinus thing, and I'm pretty good. I'm fine actually. It's just I still have like this nasally. I sound like Fran Drescher. Excuse me, sorry. So let's see. Big news, yeah. So I'm gonna get into this, and of course I'm not going to start off with like the biggest news, the biggest part of the news, because then, you know, I'd rather lead up to it. I think it'll be a little bit more fun leading up to the news. But there's a lot of things that I want to cover. There's a lot of things I want to talk about leading up to that news that are important details. And I'm really going to make sure to set apart things that are opinions, speculations, and actual facts. And when I say facts, things that can be proven either by a cross-reference or like just flat out, like right here, right now. So yeah, we're gonna do that. That's what we're gonna do. All right, we're gonna talk about all this stuff. Okay, Dark Realm Gaming. I appreciate that. I'm wearing sunglasses because I have a little bit of a headache, and so it helps reduce my or I guess it's kind of preventative sometimes, or reduce, or just, you know, make it so it's not worse. Let's do it. So I was thinking about this like before I started this show, and I'm like, man, where do I even start with all this crap? Because there's a lot of details. Really, like there's seriously a lot of details in this whole thing leading up to this news. Now, I am not like an Arcade 1UP channel. You guys, most of you know that. Like, I kind of started off that way, and then I've just been like more gaming oriented, modding in arcades. Excuse me, modding arcades and consoles and stuff like that. So I tend to kind of, you know, gravitate towards just what I think is interesting at the time, or what I think people would like to know or need to know that I don't see on YouTube. Because a lot of times, like, I'll go on YouTube and look for information, and I won't be able to find things or information, and then that's frustrating. So, or accurate. And that leads me to my next point, which is that in the Arcade 1UP space, because it's not the home arcade space, it's just the Arcade 1UP space, there's a lot of misinformation, and a lot of information gets passed around, all right, that's wrong, it's inaccurate, or it's just a straight up lie. Okay, and one of the things that's very fascinating to me about the Arcade 1UP community is that they all continue to like support each other and support this kind of fake news behavior, and a lot of the underlying negativities that are make that community what it is are what are causing more of these problems. People not being called out for giving wrong information or not knowing what the F they're talking about. And, and then a lot of gaslighting and stuff like that. And one thing I will say is, because I am going to mention names when I'm talking about this, and yes, this is leading up to actual news. But I am going to mention names. I don't care. And I don't have I really don't have any ill will towards anyone in the Arcade 1UP community, but there are like people who I would prefer like not to interact with, and a lot of people who I just don't interact with, who I used to interact with for various reasons. And I'm not going to go into like huge detail on that. But throughout, I'll kind of like sprinkle some things in there for context. Like I want to make sure that there's context, because I don't want people to say like, oh, there wasn't context. I mean, people are going to say that anyways, but yeah, it is what it is. But I will say this. Starting off, I'm actually gonna say, and this is, a lot of people are gonna disagree with this, but that's fine. I'm actually gonna say that the Rexer show is as much of a douche as he can be. Is probably one of the most what's actually the word that I want to use? I'm just gonna say it this way. If you take the Arcade 1UP community and then you go to Rexer's channel, his channel is the epitome of what the Arcade 1UP community is and does. And the thing is like he's out there doing his thing. And again, I have no I have no problems with Rexer or Kevgret. Like we had our beef in the past, which was really just whatever, stupid. But I have no problems with them. So me saying this is not a shot at him. What I'm saying is though is that they're a representation of what this community actually is. So that channel basically encompasses and takes all the energy from the community, and then it just kind of explodes every time that he goes live. So his information isn't always correct. Sometimes it's like way inaccurate, and it's fun to read the comments. Like it's really fun to read his comments because you see people in there that are like, I come here for the truth. Like you're doing a great thing for humanity. And, just kind of like bowing down. And it's funny because it's like, it's not right. Like it's literally inaccurate, like information. And that's totally fine. Because he's not the only one who does it, is he? There's plenty of other big channels, like a lot bigger than his, that cover Arcade 1UP stuff that give incorrect information or that speculate on things and then lead viewers to believe that it may be true, right? So again, going back to his channel, that's why his channel is the epitome of what the Arcade 1UP community is or has become, is because it represents everything that's going on in the community, okay? Backstabbing, disinformation, half truths, partial stories, tailoring things to fit your own narrative. Okay. Well, everybody's slapping him in the nuts for doing that stuff. There's other channels out there doing the same thing that are very pro Arcade 1UP. And so it's funny because I've really thought about this a lot, and it's true. In my opinion, from my point of view, all of that's true. And based on those things that I'm telling you, which are accurate, which is that his information isn't always correct, but neither is information on some of the other channels. And there are some channels that are good at saying, this is what they think or whatever. But, there was a time where we know that it wasn't just what they thought, it was what they knew or what they were letting on to, and some of these other content creators, they take breadcrumbs and they sprinkle it over you like it's fish food. And this is what happens. It's like this repeating cycle, like, rinse, wash, rinse, repeat. And it just happens over and over again. And content creators are very lazy sometimes. They don't go out and do research and get their information or get the full story. And because it's more fun, and they realize that they get more views and more of an audience when they're kind of spinning the story their own way, and that if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. That's it. So I think it's hypocritical, which is another thing that Rexer's channel represents. I think it's hypocritical that people want to blame him, or say, not blame him, but say that he's like, just such a terrible channel when there's other content creators doing the same thing. Okay, so that's my point of view. That's my opinion on that. And of course, that's not all, but that's an important starting point. That's an important starting point. Let me see. Giving certain people a forum based on their super likes is also distressing. It's a serious, super likes is also distressing. It's a serious conflict of interest. So, yeah. Well, I mean, and then let's just take the whole shilling thing. For example, we all know Rexer is really good friends with Glenn, right? Glenn, GRS Glenn. And, he shilled his, the fighting stick product. Okay. Which is fine. He can do that. But how hard did he hit, all the other content creators in the Arcade 1-Up space about that? And, people in the Arcade 1-Up space have done that. And so that's true. Yeah. But the thing is that people don't want to look at the big picture. They don't want to step back and look at the really big picture, which is that it's hypocrisy in this entire community. Okay. Like the entire Arcade 1-Up community has this whole hypocrisy thing going on, and it's just very alien to me. Like, I don't understand it. Okay, now I'm not perfect, and but I do try to like be very honest about things, and there are things that like you don't need to say on stream, or that you don't need to talk about, that may be going on behind the scenes. Like, nobody needs to know about that. Like, it's just the way it is, But when you have people like digging up information and manipulating people behind the scenes to bring stuff to light, like, I'm not the only one that's happened to. Okay, there's a lot of other people in the community who've done stuff like that. And when I say stuff like that, I don't just mean like personal information. I mean like digging for information from people and then using that information to make their channel benefit more. So that's happening. It's happening all over the Arcade 1-Up space. All right. Now, and don't worry, I assure you, there is actual information coming. Okay. But I need to get there. And I can't get there if you don't have enough context to understand how I'm going to get there. So that kind of covers that. All right. And that's my into this. So I'm going to say, for as much as people, say that Rexer's a piece of crap. And I do, like, I know what his tactics are. Like, I know how his channel works, and I'd say that to like anybody. Well, if he reacts a certain way to something, then, just expect like this to happen or X, Y, and Z, because that's probably what he's going to do. All right. I'm not saying that makes him a good guy or a bad guy in all of this, because I don't think like really that there's anybody who's innocent. Which brings you up to the next tier, which is Arcade 1UP, right? The company, Arcade 1UP. All right, everybody's talking about John D right now and Arcade 1UP. And I've kind of just been like quietly watching because I'm curious. I want to see what people are saying. I want to see if it's accurate. I want to see if people even know what they're talking about. And real quick to caveat on that, like there's nothing that aggravates me as a gamer more than people who try to talk about games who don't know shit about games or arcades. Like, dude, if you don't know what you're talking about, please shut up, because you're passing on information to people and it's confusing. It's confusing to people, especially people who come to YouTube to get accurate information. So if you were one of those people who's like, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon because like this looks like I'm going to get a bunch of views and it's popular right now, like that's a bad idea if you don't know what you're talking about. If you know what you're talking about and you're passionate about it, then, great, try it out. Like everybody's going to make mistakes and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So that's fine. But when you come on YouTube and you're getting, or passing incorrect information or doing reviews about things, and yeah, I'm talking about Cornercade, Jago. And I'll get more into that. But and you're passing, bunk information around, it just makes everything more confusing for people. So that's something that irritates me. And it's one of the reasons also why I started doing YouTube, was because no, I'm not like this like god of gaming and arcades, but I've been there. Like I grew up gaming in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Like I've been there the whole time, dude. Like I know what it's like to play in arcades, to play on arcade machines. And I'll do research to get my information correct. All right, I'll go through that and I'll do research to get my information correct. And so as a content creator, you have that responsibility to make your information accurate, or to correct it if it's incorrect, and then also to give other people credit if you're getting that information from them, and it's not originating from you, right? So yeah, that's just kind of like a little side tangent there real quick. Let me look at Chaotic BPR says, that's why I love Arcade Anonymous Brothers. We talk about modding these toys, enhancing your game rooms. Yeah, we want the new products and wonder what's going on, but we mostly just want to enjoy what we got. Right. Dark Realm Gaming says, I was born in 75, so I'm old school. Yeah. JJ, I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you. Let's see. Real MoFlow. They all went conspiracy theorists. I paused on them on those channels for about 2 weeks now. Bo knows Tecmo. It's like someone just reading off a spec sheet versus someone who has real knowledge. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of like my tangent off to the side. So and yes, it's important to mention that, because it's important to mention that I'm not, I mean, if you watch my channel, like I'm not just some idiot like coming onto YouTube who has no clue what they're talking about. And I have no problem saying that about myself. Arcade 1UP as a company, okay? Here's where the problem really starts. Like, these guys are notorious for not communicating very well with their customer base. And they were almost getting to a point where their level of communication was kind of getting better, and John was honestly the one who was orchestrating a lot of that. And it may not have been perfect, but that's what was happening. Because of John, Arcade One Up was starting to communicate with its customer base a lot more. Now, I had like a friendly professional relationship with John, and I haven't talked to him like in a while. But I had a friendly professional relationship with him. Excuse me. And and so I did that interview with him, and we talked about a lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff that got overlooked and was never mentioned on a lot of bigger channels, like let's just say P-Dub's Arcade Loft, Mike B Gaming, who else, Justin Console Kits. All right. All of those types of channels, they didn't say a damn thing about the interview that I had with John D, for example. They didn't talk about it or discuss any of the information that was passed there. And there, if you actually watch it and you listen to the conversations that we're having, and by the way, I actually interviewed him for 6 hours. Like the overall interviews were 6 hours long in total. Okay, it was 2 days worth of interviewing. I had to cut the interviews down. There were parts in there that had nothing to do with like the interview. Like us, having to like take breaks, or kids coming home from school and stuff like that. And so there's some of that type of stuff in there, but I had to edit it. I couldn't just have this 6 hour blotch of an interview. And the reason why it was 6 hours was because I really wanted to dig into things with him. And that was around the time that KI Pro had come out, and KI Pro was just, it had the potential to be a really cool cabinet, and it was, in my opinion, it was a letdown, and it was overpriced. So, anyways, when I interviewed him, when I talked to him, he had a lot of good information, especially information related to licensing and to what the company basically had available in his back pocket. Okay. And you can see some of that in the interview. I did leave that in there. At the time, because of what was going on, he was working on getting the new show out. And I had talked to him. I said before I even interviewed him, the first time I talked to John was when I was trying to bring to his attention that there was problems with Big Blue. All right. The Street Fighter emulation on Arcade 1-Ups sucks. Like, it sucks. Okay. The best one that they did was the Legacy Cab, which I think was Moo emulation. And that was like, that's been the best one so far, but it has no online play. Okay. Now, if you watch my latest Street Fighter 2 Deluxe review that I did a couple months ago or something, you'll see in there, like, the main portion of the video is talking about the actual gameplay. Okay. Because they haven't fixed anything really. They made the scan lines better. They scaled the resolution correctly. And but they haven't fixed anything in the emulation itself. So there's still these like weird graphical glitches that are stupid and annoying. And that to me is annoying. It pisses me off. It's like, dude, it's Street Fighter, bro. Like, it's not hard to emulate this game. It's not hard to make it work correctly. Like, come on, let's get it together here. And so that was the first time that I talked to him, and it was bringing that stuff up. And his response was like, well, we're more concerned with latency and stuff like that. And I'm like, sure, fine. But these are things that like can easily be fixed or addressed or whatever. And so presumably there was, devs, a lot of their devs are in China that do the emulation or work on like Street Fighter stuff. And that's the way that it goes. So that's what he told me. He said that their concerns were more about latency, and I said, okay, great. But how about those graphics that are like, I'm sorry, how many decades old now? If people are paying $300 to $600 for a mini arcade machine, then they should be getting a nice product that can play Street Fighter 2 correctly. All right. If you go to the 30th anniversary collections on console, I don't see any of those weird problems that they have. Okay. And those are what, $50? Probably less than that now. So, Voltar, what's up? Let's see, Mensa, that cool. Thought that he even talked to you about it. Oh, yeah. So yeah. I mean, like the fact that he was willing to listen to people in the Arcade One Up community if you reached out to him, if you knew what you were talking about, and you just came at him with whatever it was. I mean, I guarantee you that he would have been willing to like work things out with like people who he didn't get along with if they were willing to, Moo emulation hasn't even been discussed by anyone. Yeah, I mean, it says it on the Legacy screen when it boots up. It says it's Moo emulation. So Starbucks. Kumarev. But yeah, I mean, nobody talks about stuff like that. Like, these are things that YouTubers should be talking about, that these channels should be talking about. Not like constantly like, what's the next product? That's not always news. Like, let's talk about the mechanics of the product. Like, let's explain what's going on here. Let's bring these things up. But you know what? Arcade One Up as a company, they don't take it seriously. Like, they want the publicity, but they don't want to deal with what's going on in the community. So you're not going to get any support from them, okay? And they don't care about who is doing what. They just want to know where to go to land their products so that their product's going to look good. Look, when I did the review for Fast and the Furious, that was not from Arcade One Up. That was John D asking me to do it. And he basically begged me to do it. And I'm not saying that to insult him. He basically had to beg me to do it. And I was like, I really don't know if I want to do it. And when he told me that it wasn't going to be exactly, and he told me this like very disappointedly, that it wasn't going to be exactly what he thought it was going to be. And I was like, okay, dude, I'll do it. I'll do the review for you. Because then I'm not going to be comparing it to the arcade. Because it's clearly not the arcade version of the game. It is done by Raw Thrills. It is a downscaled version of the arcade game that plays great and is actually really fun, but it's more like a downscaled version of Supercars. And if you played Supercars, you would know that because the car roster is almost exactly the same, but they skinned it as the Fast and the Furious, okay? And then you have the element of all the licensing and all the money that goes into that crap and blah, 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 blah. So, I'm not gonna get into that part of it right now, but there's all these fine details that go into these things. And John's telling me about the licensing and all that stuff that the company has in their back pocket. Okay. And his relationship with other companies like Capcom and stuff like that. And so there's a lot that is going on here that is not being discussed, and the evidence is out there, but YouTubers don't want to use it. You know why? Because other YouTubers that have bigger subscriber counts don't want to give clout to people. Straight up. They don't want to support people. They don't want to support certain people because then if you're associated with that person, like, oh, well, it might make you look bad. If you have 30,000, 50,000, 60,000 subscribers, you think associating yourself with one small YouTuber is going to make you look bad? It could potentially, maybe. But I mean, like, how bad would that YouTuber have to be for that to happen? So John talked a lot about licensing in that interview, and there's a lot of very, very obvious let-ons to things that they might have or things that they have in their back pocket for sure that just aren't ready yet, or it's either an emulation related thing, or it has something to do with licensing and market buy-in. Okay, and when I'm talking about like market buy-in, I'm talking about their vendors. Okay, people like Walmart and like some of the big companies that they sell to aren't going to want to buy into certain products if they don't think, like, their market research doesn't say that it's going to be a lucrative investment for them, you know, with a big enough return. So let me catch up here on the comments. Sorry, let's see. Moo emulation, yeah, I got that. All right, so that emulator was developed by people that first started doing emulation for Capcom games back in the day, right? Roots, yes. Thank you. Bo gives a good explanation there. Moo emulation was developed for Capcom games, which is why those version of the games are the best version on, you know, Arcade 1-Up's platforms. But they never used it again. Or at least I haven't seen any space where they've used it, except for, I think, the Street Fighter 2 Partycade, the Legacy Partycade or whatever. So let's see, Paul Bears. That's always been a problem with A1 community. Let's talk about what's next. Yeah. Understandable. Let's see. Car licensing is a nightmare. Everything counts in large amounts. It's a competitive world. Pens, does YouTuber's name start with Z? Jason, don't watch this one often. Okay. So, licensing, John D, Arcade 1-Up. That's been the big subject in the Arcade 1-Up community lately that I've been watching, and everyone's like, you know, where's Waldo? And it's like, what? Is John D going back to Arcade 1? Who cares? It doesn't even matter. It's not relevant. Like, it's at this point, the problem is Arcade 1-Up, the company. Okay. Now let's go back a little bit here. Let's keep all this context in mind. Okay. What I'm talking about with licensing and what I'm talking about with John D and why it doesn't matter whether or not he comes back to the company at this point. And that I'm going to tell you from what I have heard that he is potentially working on something else. Okay. I don't know what. I'm not going to speculate, but I do know that he's working on someone else, or at least that was the goal last time I heard. Now let's circle back. Okay. And I'm going to talk about Danny, the Cornercade. Now, here's a guy who jumped onto YouTube. All right. And he doesn't know what he's talking about, other than like maybe retail stuff related to his job at Best Buy. Okay. And has multiple times said, even publicly, that he wants to work with or for Arcade 1-Up, and behind the scenes has said that he'd do anything to work for Arcade 1-Up. Like, okay. And here's a guy who has this huge following of you know, community wise, like, he has this huge following of community people who go into his chats, super chat him, and you know, show all the support. And then you've got, like, you know, bigger YouTubers who go in there too, and we know why. Okay, we know why, because Katie's cute and she has big tatas, right? Now, I have nothing against Katie. I think Katie is, like, nice. I think she's probably like a sweet person. But what I don't like is when people are manipulative, okay? And Danny comes across to me as a manipulative person, okay? In the past, he has had an account where he has used, you know, basically appropriated words that he shouldn't be using, like the N-word, okay? And I'm not going to like go into the detail of that, but you can go over to Messiah One S Gaming and just look through his videos, and you'll see stuff in there that shows you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Now look, don't start this crap with me. Well, it happened a long time ago. Okay. When a YouTuber says, like, and this is current, when somebody says like, oh, come on, I have black friends, like, dude, cut the crap, man. Like, don't tell me that you have whatever color skinned friends. Like that's not going to fix what you have said or what you have done. Okay. If anything, don't lie about it. Take responsibility for it and be sincere about it. And don't spin this narrative of, oh, it was a long time ago. I don't give a crap, dude. If you can't take responsibility for your actions, like that's your character right there. Okay. And so here we have this guy, Travis MCP is on his show, and he's going on there all the time, and he's going on there because he wants to be on there and hang out and talk about Arcade 1-Up. Well, Katie's on the show. Okay. Well, so we have that going, and then he's going to hook Danny up, right? He's going to get Danny in with Arcade 1-Up. But then this whole thing kind of happens with the N-word. And then now, where's Travis? I haven't seen Travis since that happened. I haven't seen him, taking any kind of responsibility. He just kind of like disappeared from the community. He just kind of like whoop, went away. All right. I'm sure he's still around and doing things, and that's great, fantastic. I mean, Arcade 1-Up was paying him, right, to be a consultant, and it started out as him trying to get stuff for the community. Like by all means, it started out with good intentions and doing that stuff, but then all of a sudden he starts using Danny's platform to get out there, knowing that Danny doesn't know crap about arcades. He doesn't know crap about like value or any of this other stuff. He's just using his platform because, he's quote unquote not involved in any of the drama. Well, that's a load of crap. Okay. Because he's going around to everybody's show asking, can I be on your show? Can I be on your show? Can I please be on your show? Come on, let's go. Let me be on your show. Okay, dude, nobody wants you on their show because you're annoying. Like, that's why. You're annoying, okay? With your let's go and your level of ignorance about arcade games. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You just like to say, let's go, and you can take a screwdriver, screws, like any other person and build an arcade machine. Who cares? There is nothing entertaining or valuable, maybe entertaining, but not valuable about the content that you're making. And there's nothing. What do you do for the community, bro? You do nothing. You do nothing for the community, okay? That's just the truth, okay? I'm being honest here. That's just the truth. He does nothing for the community. So now you have more people getting on his platform because he's picked up a little bit of steam, right? And working with him. And why is that? Why is it that all of a sudden after that thing happened, that now people find value in being on his platform and working with him? I'll tell you what's going to happen, though. Let me predict the future, because here's what happens when you predict the future. See, the funny thing about predicting the future is that you can tell somebody what's going to happen in the future, and they'll either A, not believe you, or they'll listen to you, and then they'll still make the same decision, and the same thing will happen. And the reason for that is because if you're predicting the future, that means it's the inevitable truth. All right? And a lot of people have a really hard time with this. Okay? But people are going to say, like, oh, she's hating, she's jealous, oh, she does this and that and blah, blah, blah. Like, fine, say whatever you want, okay? If it makes you feel better. If it makes your sock bulge bigger or whatever, like, I don't care, okay? But the fact still stands that it's true, and these are the facts, all right? This is not like an opinion at this point. Like, you can pull up videos and clearly see that, X, Y, and Z. He doesn't know what he's talking about. People use his platform for either A, clout, or for either B, to get attention from his cute, female wife. All right. And then, all this weird stuff happens where he's going around to other channels and leaving comments on their YouTube And yes, I pay attention to this, dude, because I'm not going to walk around blind in a community that's supposed to be about gaming. I'm not going to walk around blindly and not know what's going on. Okay. My military mind, my tactical mindset won't allow me to do it. That's it. Like, it's very simple. It's very simple. So that's why I am speaking that way about it. Okay. So I see what's going on. I watch like the comments that people leave and who's going where. And it's like, dude, if I see someone leaving a comment on a jackass's stream, like somebody who hasn't done their research and just puts up like stuff that is blatantly, just blatantly incorrect or inaccurate, it's like, dude, here you have this lazy garbage YouTuber who can't even do their own research or get information straight. And then you have this other, either a viewer or other content creator. Content creators are the worst. Viewers are one thing, but content creators who do that are the worst. Okay. Leaving comments on this person's channel. Like, you just left, Danny left a comment on one of the most garbage, biggest haters YouTube channels, with a let's go and one of his little fist bump things. Like, dude, automatically that just tells me more about what his character is, which is that he's manipulative. He just wants to gain people's favor. He wants to look good, make money off of YouTube, and that's it. Like, that's why he's here. He's here to make money. Okay. So, and in my opinion, and I don't care what people say, I don't even care what him or Katie say. In my opinion, no matter how it's being presented, he's exploiting Katie to some extent. Okay, to some extent. I'm not saying anything else. I'm not insinuating that he's abusive or anything like that. I'm just saying he's exploiting her. Okay, that's my opinion. But the bottom line is that you can go around and you can look at the comments that he's leaving on other YouTubers' channels and how concerned he is about what people think about him. And that'll tell you everything you need to know about like his channel and his character and what his intentions are on YouTube. Okay. Did you come here to game and help the community out? Or did you come here just because you want people to see your face and your grill every time you smile, and you want them to like think you're super cool because you're having like a midlife crisis? I don't know. But you guys take the information, go research, go look around, go see who's leaving comments where, and then you can figure these kind of things out. But I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, none of that, his catchphrases, his lines, Katie, none of it is going to change the fact that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know anything about real, like, arcades. He doesn't know anything about coin ops. He doesn't really know anything about games. All right. I'm drinking some really good LaCroix. The fizzliness helps with my my post-nasal drip. Nah. So anyways, and Addicted to Arcade went up, says this is good stuff. I should have made some popcorn. And the thing is, like, people will say like, oh, this is drama, it's this, it's that. You can, again, say whatever you want, say that I'm bringing drama or I'm this or I'm that. People always like to default to this is drama when people start bringing up facts or people start defending themselves. It's like someone starts a fight and then another person defends themselves. And then they're like, oh, you're starting drama. You're starting drama. Oh, it did YouTube. Whatever, dude. Say whatever you want. But it's not drama to bring up like these situations that are going on that are boiling under the hood of the Arcade1Up YouTube community. You know why? I'm going to bring it all back to Arcade1Up right now, because Arcade1Up has people working there who allow this stuff to go on and not say anything about it and not do anything about it. Okay. So for example, the Corner Cage channel, I haven't seen Travis go back on there, but I also haven't seen him say anything about it. And I haven't seen Arcade1Up say anything about it. And I mean, it was my understanding that there was a few people who were going to get some free arcades to do reviews, right? Which is cool, fine, good for you. Like, I don't care if people get free stuff, dude. Like, I'm not jealous either, because I don't want any of that stuff. And if I did want it, I could just go get it. It's not a big deal. But if Arcade1Up is going to send products out to people who have a reputation for not having the best character, like, how does that make any sense? Or if they're going to support someone on a platform like that, like, as a company in a small space like YouTube, because the Arcade1Up space on YouTube is small, it's relatively small compared to other gaming spaces on YouTube. Okay, it's getting more saturated. It was getting more saturated, and then some of it kind of died off. Hold on a second, sorry. So yeah, there's some people who are saying Arcade1Up is the problem. And in part, I would say, like, the overarching problem, yes, yeah, as a company, all right. But look, when I did a review for their Fast and Furious, when I did the review for that, you guys know all that stuff came out where, like, it was like it was like tranny bashing weekend, you know? It was like, everybody get out your clubs and, like, you know, it's time to, like, go bash that stupid tranny. How dare that bitch lie, you know, having a wiener. Like, you know, and again, I've said this before, like, it's nobody's business, dude. Like, I'm here as, like, a gaming channel. I'm not here talking about trans rights or any of that stuff. And that's stuff that I generally don't even like to get into, because there is no, like, left or right anymore. It's like there's just two extreme sides, and they're both doing the same thing at this point. So I don't like to get into that kind of stuff, all right? And I've been places where I can tell you that politics, really, like, the word politics has nothing to do with any of it. It's all about money, okay? It's all about money. So people believing that there's a good or a bad side is just an illusion, dude. Like, that's a total illusion just put in place to, like, you know, sway people. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, is the audio okay? Wait, hold on. I don't want you guys to lose me. Is that better? Okay, so anyways, I stay away from you know, talking about things like that, and it's not necessary. Okay, it's not a dating site. Like, nobody's here to date me. And whether or not I want to show, like, my tits or my cleavage, like, that's my business. Okay, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. If you find out that, you know, I'm a tranny and then you don't like it, then fine. But, like, nobody cares. Just nobody cares at the end of the day. Like, nobody cares. Kevin Clausen, thank you for the super chat. Speaking of money, here's another super chat. Thank you. Still cutting out on my TV. Oh, okay. JJ says, I came in just a bit late. Who has crossed a line? As for the sexual preference, Jade is only one people that I know that leaves all that out and just focuses on the content. Dude, really? Is it? Oh my God. That's not good. Why is it cutting in and out? I don't know. I'm checking all my stuff right now and it looks good. Volume's up. I don't know if maybe it's, like, up too high. Hold on, let me check my Ba-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Well, I'm doing my best, guys. Let me see if I can angle this a little bit closer here. Okay. So where was I? So I don't bring that stuff to my gaming channel. I don't bring, stuff about gender identity or any of that. Like, I am who I am. I am what I am. And, that's not what this channel is about. All right. If I want to go talk about stuff like that, I'll make another channel for it. All right. But the bottom line is that happened, right? Everybody got their clubs out and they were like, go bash that tranny's tits in. And then, okay, Kevin Clausen, $5 super chat. Your sound is fine, Jade, but what sounds even better is another $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Mr. Clausen. And so, which is like, whatever. Okay. It's just like, goddamn, like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't really care. But what's funny is it just shows how like stupid and mob mentality people get when certain things happen. And you have content creators posting really negative stuff about that, right? Like, really. And then you have other content creators who aren't saying anything. They're just like, yeah, screw it. She's good. And which is fine. But what I'm saying is, like, you have all this different stuff going on in the community. And then Arcade went up. Where are they? They no stance whatsoever. John says, I think he tweeted that he, he's an ally of the LGBTQ, and that was nice. Like, it was a nice gesture. But again, like, that's something that, I don't really like clanning up, if that makes sense. Okay. I don't really like clanning up, and I don't care how ignorant people are. I'm not going to make it like the focus of my thing. All right. Was it crappy? Like, did it kind of bother me a little bit? Like, yeah, it just bothered me because it was like taking away from like what the whole community and the channel thing was about. And then the community kind of came together a little bit and was like, no, that's not okay. Like, the actual community was like, that's not okay, whatever. And yeah, so I don't want to like go down this road and beat a dead horse, but I'm just, again, this is for context. And Arcade One Up was nowhere. So there was a lot of good people in the community who actually came forward during that and were like, not cool, whatever. And, I'm very appreciative of that. Like, I was very appreciative of a lot of people's support. But again, it's like not something that like I feel like needs to be talked about. It's not a big deal. And so on. So, Arcade Went Up, though, nowhere to be found, right? Nothing to say about it. All right, that whole thing that happened with UAG and what he did, a lot of people were judging him, and just, I get the fact that he's an arcade, like a YouTuber who covered Arcade One Up stuff. And from that perspective, I agree that he should not have put himself in a position where he got involved in something like that and then like it basically exposed himself. That's not a good look. But it's just, that's another thing about the community. The community goes from content creator to content creator, casting judgment on all these people, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, please, Jesus, come and teach me your ways, okay? Because I see you're so perfect that you can just judge what everybody does. All right. I don't agree with what UAG did. And I don't I do think that Arcade One Up had a responsibility to say, at the very least, they could have made a statement and said, we did not condone this. We, whatever their small explanation is like, we don't condone this kind of behavior. We're aware of what happened and blah. That's it. They could have made some sort of statement. And it was the same thing with Blitz. It was the same thing with MVC2. They could have made some sort of statement about it. They could have been professional about it. But that is one thing that they are lacking, is professionalism. And everybody's like, oh, Arcade went up the community. The community supports itself, and it also abuses itself. Holy crap, Joel. Shout out to Jade for the dope AF content with the $50 super chat. Thanks. Thanks, man. So, okay. That was awesome. Thank you. So anyways, they don't support the community. The community supports itself, okay? We are the ones who support each other, all right? And if everybody's shitting on each other, if all the content creators are shitting on each other and the viewers are shitting on the content creators, I mean, we're all just sitting in our own shit, right? Is that what's going on? And Thor KC says, great points, but of course, when they finally do make a statement, it's something about virtual high fives, and we're back to square one. Right. What does AF stand for? As fudge. As fug. Kevin Clausen says, I appreciate you having this talk, Jade. This is therapeutic. Great to hear your feelings. I still support the YouTube shows that I watch, but different perspective. Okay. So, yes, alien tech. Correct. So, okay. So, Arcade One Up is not doing anything about it. All right. Same thing when we find out that Danny, you like to use, like his vocabulary consisted of the N-word every other word. And it doesn't matter if it ends with an or an ER. It doesn't matter. It's still the N-word. And I mean, as far as I know, as far as my experience has been, it's just kind of like a cultural thing. Like, that word doesn't belong to you. And so to have that as like your every other word on Twitter and public posts, and then Arcade One Up to kind of be still gravitating to that content creator is just, it doesn't make any, it's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, he was just a kid, only 28 years old. Yeah, he was only 28 years old. Technically, that is like still a kid. It doesn't matter though. I mean, it doesn't matter because you're legally, you're a grown ass man, and the bottom line is that it was done, and it was brought, and now it's brought up in a public forum, okay? And a professional level company is basically still, gravitating towards this person who is, just has very like redundant and content that's just not informative, okay? Like I talked about earlier. Yeah, 20. Okay, sarcasm, sorry. I'm like going through these quick and I'm trying to like keep my thought process going. Back in a sec, getting an apple. Okay, and then they didn't have anything to say when I reviewed their product. They didn't even promote it. I mean, I don't care, but they didn't promote it. They didn't promote the review. They didn't do anything. All right. John was the one who got that to me. John was the one who got it to me early, technically. And it was barely. Like, it barely made it to me early, and he had to like jump through hoops to do all that stuff. And he really cared about what my opinion about that product was. And I said what I thought about it. Being an owner of the real arcade and coming to that, like, I said what I thought about it. And that was my opinion. And people were like, oh, you weren't very hard on it. Like, oh, you were way harder on KI Pro. Well, that's because KI Pro, the only good thing about it was the software. The rest of it was trash, okay? It was fire fuel. That's it, all right? And I ended up emailing Arcade One Up and saying, like, dude, you guys need to give me, like, a refund for this or something. Like, this thing is hot garbage. And I pointed out several different issues. And ultimately, they ended up giving me like I don't know what it was, like $150 refund or something. Um, but anyways, yeah. And so you know, and going back to John, like he's the scapegoat of the community. You know, like everything is John's fault or everything is this. It's like the level of ignorance and miseducation in the community is so far beyond. It's no wonder that everybody's like circle crapping on each other and we're all sitting in our own, liquid shit, because this is what it's come down to. A bunch of grown-ups who are afraid to do what either they think is right, what they want to do, or say what they want to say in a way where they're being like professional about it. And I mean, again, that goes back to like Rexer. Like he's a jerk sometimes. And in the past, I've called him out on a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. And, now it's just like, whatever, like, he's going to say what he's going to say. He's going to do what he's going to do. Like, that's that. But whether it's true or not, people can do their own research. I'm just not. But when it comes to me specifically, and I had to learn, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference, because in the community, in the space, people are going to just be lazy. And they like the drama. As much as people say and leave comments like, this drama is ridiculous, like, oh, this drama, grown people like acting this way. Like, as much as people say that, oh my God, they love to watch it. They love it. They love to watch it. And Rexer has strong opinions he's going to share. Yes. And that's the thing, though. Most of it is opinions, and he acts like it's facts, and that's just not true. But again, like, I'm not here to like go into that, because guess what? There's tons of other channels that are doing that claim to be the good guys. And so yeah, you're not wrong about the content being fluffy. But to be honest, I'm here for lighter topics. If I want to be serious, I'd be focused on work like I'm supposed to. And that's, that's fine. But what I'm saying is like, in a community, it should be something that where the content creators and the people support each other. And I get it that is like not an ideal situation. But what I mean is like the higher percentage of things should be that way. But unfortunately, and this is what I've learned about the Arcade 1UP community, is that it's not. Content creators get jealous. They get jealous. They want clout. They don't want to give clout to certain people. They don't want certain people to get more subs or views than they do. And they get upset about things like that. And, it all revolves around jealousy and monetary gain. And it's like, dude, we're all people who are like in our 40s or 50s, and you're not getting anything. Like, you're not getting YouTube fame from Arcade 1UP. Wake up call. Nothing about, you're not going to get YouTube fame from Arcade 1UP. Okay. If you were here in the COVID time frame, you might have had a chance to get like some subs and to do something. But another wake up call, there was a lot of BS drama that happened then too. Okay. And Arcade 1UP had nothing to say about it. And a lot of it was centered around, what was going on with John D and the people that were working with him and Arcade 1UP at that time. Okay. But it's not, the Arcade 1UP is not even remotely close to what it was then. It's something completely different now. The company itself as a whole is just much bigger. It's much more developed. It's not just a Kickstarter project anymore. Like, it's a full-blown, subsidiary of Tastemakers and the parent company. So let me see. I'm sorry. Ambitious and lazy. Yeah, ambitiously lazy content creators are the worst. The worst. That's my opinion. Like, that's the worst form of content creation. Like, so yeah, let's see. I agree, Jade. For me, Rexer seems to come across so hateful. Some may disagree. Yeah, absolutely. He can be hateful sometimes. Um, but you know, he at least like knows about arcades and games and stuff. But again, it's like, what good is that if you're just like, you know, peeing on everybody all the time? So there's a fine line. But regardless, like I said in the beginning, I'm not going to hate on him because there's people who are supposed to be the good guys who are doing all the same crap. Okay? There's people who are doing all the same crap. And you know, I'm not going to like hide from things that I've said like in the past. Riddick's Classic Arcade is in here. What's up, Riddick? When I get sucked into the vortex of this company when I started reviewing, I was shocked at the childish drama around it. Not my idea of entertainment. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing with me is that I'm like very of like a fighting mindset. Like I hate when people lie, and I like it's more of like when people lie about other people, it's so annoying. But when people lie and mislead like a large audience, that's something that just like really gets under my skin. And that's another thing that I've had to learn to let go of the longer that I've been on YouTube is like, I mean, I don't care what viewers say ever. If I had like a friendly relationship with somebody as a content creator, and you know, then I was like betrayed in one way or another, then that's when I feel like it's more personal, you know, that's when it matters more to me. And so that's generally when you'll see me like defend myself or something. Now I just don't put myself in that kind of a position. I don't put myself in a position where I'm going to thank you, Jason, for the 10 memberships. I think that's the second time. That's the second time you've done that. Thank you. But I'm not gonna. Now I know not to put myself in that kind of a position, and just to be ready to like, you know, see stupid comments or people make videos where they think they're saying something that's true, when they haven't done any research. Okay, so the bottom line is that Arcade 1Up as a company, umbrella over everything, doesn't give a crap about the YouTube community. And for people saying that they're going to go out of business, let me tell you why they're not going to go out of business, or why they'll change to something else. Because for one thing, they own way too many licenses. They own way too many licenses. Okay. Excuse me. They own way too many licenses. They have way too many relationships with companies out there that are, you know, doing stuff in retro gaming, and who want to make money, and who want to have their licensed stuff out there as, you know, on an arcade platform, because they know that they're going to make money. All right. And they're the ones that are going to make more money anyways. So it's more lucrative for them, or it's more opportunistic for them. Okay, because if they don't get the minimum guarantee, then what does that mean? Oh, that means that it's like being, thanks again, Kevin and Jason, for that. It's like being incarcerated, where you have to learn 100 people's personalities all in one day. Sure, it could be overwhelming. Okay, so what was I talking about again? I never bought into going out of business narrative. Yeah, so they're not going out of business. And they own too many licenses. Okay, the licenses didn't leave with John D. All right, does he have access to people in those companies, and relationships with people in those companies where it could affect Arcade 1Up? Sure, yeah. And that's not speculative. Like, the licenses just don't leave. They don't just disappear because John left. Okay, it's not the way it works. But does he have access to those people and know what their itinerary is? The itinerary is as far as Arcade 1Up license is concerned. Yes. All right. There was a leaked list that came out a while ago, which I'm going to talk about more in a little bit. And if you guys remember the list of games that were on there, I think Travis or maybe Mike B said something about it being not like it wasn't fully accurate. Like, what I can tell you is that it was like a lot of that stuff was, I don't want to say this incorrectly, but something along the lines of market research, okay? Like, they can have basically ideas of what they want to do and then present them and get like pre-approval for them, okay? So that list wasn't like by any means like a final approval of what was going to be coming out. But I do know, and most people know, that Travis has always said like that he is going to work for Arcade 1-Up until at least like they get Tekken to come out, right? So take that for what it's worth, and then we'll go back there in a bit. Let's see. One of two, like the old Depeche Mode song, everything counts in large amounts. Same goes with followers, viewers, etc. Right. So yeah, it's okay. So licensing, no, it didn't leave. Like, I see these things on Reddit where it's like people are basically speculating on what a content creator speculated on, and the speculation of the content creator or the explanation that they gave wasn't even correct. Like, people do this roundabout, like, beat around the bush thing. And this is why I don't normally talk about Arcade 1-Up anymore, because I don't like the stigma that comes with the company. I don't like the stigma that comes with the company. I don't like the people that the company allows. I don't like what the people do that the company allows to represent them. And I don't like the crowd that go into certain places in the Arcade 1-Up community. And so I don't, like, for the most part, I don't want to be involved in that. If I do something based around Arcade 1-Up, it's going to be because I'm curious about it and I want to see, if it's gotten better or how it turned out or whatever, or it's going to be because I'm doing a mod. Like, those are the two reasons. Okay. And the Fast and the Furious was a perfect example because I was curious to see how it, compared to the arcade version as far as what they had done and how they, downscaled it or whatever. And anyways, so let me take a breath here and let me read JJ's comment. Oh, Paul says John D understands the licensing probably better than anyone, including when they expire. Yeah. JJ 2 of 2, money is hard to ignore and being totally impartial is rare. Some will say, I'm being transparent because they are admitting to that, but still it's got to be an influence. Yeah. Hands grab all they can. Yeah, just say it. Jade, you're into pinball now. Yeah, no. Pins are cool though, but no. So okay. So I'm gonna circle back to the whole licensing and John D thing and kind of like tie that off. All right. His relationship with those companies, with those people, may affect Arcade 1-Up in the long run, but ultimately it's about money and it's about the minimum guarantee. And then all of these other companies that Arcade 1-Up is in bed with, okay? I mean, people don't even think about like the big companies, like the really rich companies that they're doing these crossovers with, like the MVC2 cab. Everybody complained about the price on that, and it's like, well, what do you expect? It's a brand name, okay? You can buy the shittiest shoes that were made in China, but if they're officially made in Nike's sweatshop, then people have no problem paying $120 for them. All right? And it's the same thing. It's the same exact principle with Arcade 1-Up. And these are all things that people really don't consider when they're looking at it, when they're looking at the company as a whole. All right. And again, you have the community underneath the YouTubers who are just like literally foaming at the mouth, And then some of the content creators who are just foaming at the mouth to get the next product or to get Arcade 1-Up, in their good favor. And it's like, dude, first of all, there's probably only, a couple channels in the Arcade 1-Up community that people watch. And it's either A, for just purely for entertainment value, or because there's a woman there, or B, because they think that that's the only place where they can get news. And it's not true. So it's only partially true. And it's unfortunate because, again, like I think that a lot of the big channel content creators, they always want to stay out of things, but then they're making videos complaining about how, people talk, oh, this person said this about me and, whatever. Like, who cares? Who cares that person said whatever? Like, look at this little shit YouTube channel that has 2,000 viewers. They said what about your 30,000 viewer channel or your 40,000 viewer channel? Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God. Sue them for defamation because your channel is ruined now. All right. And this whole like thing about like suing people, Jesus Christ, get over yourselves, man. My dog's barking at me. So that's another thing that I just really irks me and I don't understand. But I don't want to be, personally, like in its entirety, like my channel to be lumped into that, dude. Again, it's my channel's a gaming channel. Right now, why am I doing this? Because I watch all this stuff, and it's like I told you guys, I come on here and my goal is to like give clarity and make things a little bit more clear so people can have context and really understand what's going on. People are people, so why would it be Depeche Mode rocks? Depeche Mode is awesome. Hold on, sorry, I'm gonna read these comments real quick. See if I'm missing anything. YouTube. JJ says YouTubers are Jade, 19K Fox, Michael B, P-Dubs, Nostalgia, Kongs, Jason Console Kits, or Justin Console Kits. Yeah, but again, if I see a content creator who is supporting really shitty behavior that's going on in the community, then automatically I'm like, I don't trust that person because I know what's going on behind the scenes. I've been behind the scenes. I've heard and seen what people are saying, and I like it's like, dude. So not only that, but then you support like this total piece of garbage in the community, or these total pieces of garbage in the community, or you don't say anything about it. Like, a community is supposed to protect itself, and I've talked about this a lot. I'm not going to beat a dead horse with it, but like, it's supposed to support itself, and this community does absolutely the opposite. Shits all over itself and then just swims in its shit. And so people get, upset and the whole "you're causing drama," blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just telling you the truth about the situation, okay? I'm just telling you the truth about what's going on. I'm telling you the facts about what I was told and what I know about Arcade 1-Up's licensing. And, I can send you to all kinds of different places where you can find a lot of this information, or where you can see John himself saying it, connect all the dots, or, make a spider web out of it, whatever. That's a great visual. You're welcome. But that's what it's like. That's what it's like. And of course, the whole entire community is not like the whole entire Arcade 1-Up community is not like festering with negativity and negative people. But it's like there's so much of it that it kind of like overshadows that. And this is why. Because it all comes down to greed. It all comes down to wanting recognition and being in the spotlight. It comes down to money. It comes down to wanting new cabinets. I mean, I see the comments that people leave in like Arcade1Up chats, and I'm just like, good God, dude, like, shut up. Why does anybody like stop asking the same questions? Like, no, Primal Rage isn't coming. No, like, stop. You know, like it's you see all these repetitive, like the same behaviors, and it's like the same people, and it's like, dude, the community does not have to tolerate that. Like, I don't know if people know this, but you don't have to tolerate that. You don't have to tolerate that kind of behavior. You don't have to endorse it, because what you do by not saying anything is you endorse it. And endorsing that kind of behavior is not, it's not a good look. And there's a lot of people who don't want to be around it. There's a lot of people who love that kind of stuff and will gravitate towards it. And that's what happens is when there's shit, all the flies want to come and eat it and hang out there. All right. And that is how the Arcade1Up community seems to me. That's how it's become. There may have been a time when it was good and it was fun. And it was probably like me, I arrived like at the very end of that. And there was a time where it was fun and good. And then this is what it's become. And now you guys are seeing like way more than like viewers should see, or, you know, the content creator interactions are like way more than like typical stuff. And it's mind blowing to me. But it's like people are, the problem is that people made all these friendships and then they get betrayed, and now they feel like, you know, so woed by it that they have to react to it and do something about it. You know, but the problem really comes in when you have people or content creators who are completely lying, like literally completely lying about other content creators. Skinny Puppy's hardcore. Completely lying about other content creators, completely lying about products or knowledge of products, shifting people's visuals in another direction for you know, the company or whatever. And I just think that Arcade1Up needs to take a stance as a company, as a professional company that sells these products to a, you know, a global audience. They need to take a stand, because they're the Arcade1Up space, again, if you look at who's in it, there's a very the seed at the center of the community, the core of it, you know, revolves around basically about 4 YouTubers probably, okay, that actually matter when it comes to I missed some good times in 2020. I just wasn't I wasn't on YouTube as a content creator then, but I do remember. But you know, what's at the core? The core is basically rotting. The core of the Arcade1Up YouTube community and space is basically rotting. Okay. Riddick says, I completely avoid the Arcade1Up scene. Other than your channel these days, you are a game channel, not a 1Up channel like myself. The 1Up scene isn't all terrible, but it's enough to turn me off from it. Yeah, exactly. And so coming back to what's going on for 2024 and what people have been doing, I think that the viewers and the content creators need to wake up and, you know, cut the shit. Like, grow a pair and just do what's right when it comes to information that you're passing about Arcade1Up, and do more than just Arcade1Up, man. Like, I don't know why, like, everything is so centered around that. Like, you guys already have an audience. Just do more. And for the channels that are just here to get clout because you want to be famous, like, for the love of God, just stop doing content, please. Or get good at it and know what you're talking about. Because that's just another one of those things that's just so All right, and then Arcade One Up. Here's another thing: like they've also promoted channels and content that are just trash. Like their marketing is substandard. Isn't a good enough word for their marketing. It's like hot molten basura. Okay, that's what their marketing is like. They rely on basically downloading other people's content and using that instead of hiring people who actually know how to make good videos or to make stuff that's eye-catching enough for them to use. And then on top of that, on top of their terrible marketing, they promote channels that are sick, like actual, like just sick. Like they use people who are twisted, dude, to like use, and I'm not talking about twisted gaming. I'm talking about, for example, like when they announced Mortal Kombat Spectate, they used Console Fanboy's what is jingle that he has like at the end of his videos. Like, why would you do that, man? Like, why would you do that after everything that had just happened at that time? They did that. Travis did that. And that, like, how tone deaf is that? How tone deaf is it to do something like that? For a company, like multiple times, Arcade One Up has done extremely tone deaf things. And it's like, will you guys like set the record straight? Please be professionals and like set the record straight. What is it that you do and don't support? What is it that you want for your consumer base? What kind of relationship do you have with the YouTube community? And what kind of relationship do you want to have with the YouTube community? And this is a reason why a lot of toxicity exists in the community, because they're not involved. They're really not involved. And Travis being involved, well, that's no good anymore, because now he's paid and he has relationships with a lot of YouTubers who he just uses or who he used in the past. Sorry to say, but that's the way it ended up turning out. And, people can say whatever they want and say that it's not true. Go ahead, please. Say whatever you want. But that's just the way it is now. All right? And that's what it turned into. And so that's not a good representation for Arcade One Up, and that's not gonna do much. It's not gonna give people faith and confidence. It's not gonna do anything with the community. And ultimately, it's like they started being consistent with having, lives where they're interacting with the community, but then it just, it went away. It went away when John left, basically. And that was another part where like there was like another step down in the community, where the community got worse because of that. Somebody has to acknowledge this. Somebody has to acknowledge that this is happening. If it's not going to be them and it's not going to be anybody else, then I'll acknowledge it. I'll just sit here and I'll explain this so that it's in context and it makes sense to people. All right. And that's true, Paul. They do want to sell more units. They do want to sell more units. Of course. Like that is their goal. Their goal is to, make a profit and to continue doing something that people like enough to where they're going to keep buying their products. They posted my game room video. Yeah, I saw that on my Instagram this morning. Back in a sec. Going to get a peach. Dark Realm Gaming, you're eating a lot of fruit today. That's good. Very healthy. I thought John D was a cool dude. I never had any problems with John. He was always supportive. He was very kind, very professional. I never had any problems with John. I've heard rumors about stuff that has gone on behind the scenes, and that is what it is. I've heard stories about things that have happened in the past between him and other content creators, and I've never had that kind of experience with him myself. Not to take away from whatever experiences other people have had, but I also think that John's the type of person that it's like how you approach him, which is kind of like me. Like if you approach me and you got a knife out, like I'm gonna twist your wrist and break it off. Okay. And John's kind of the same way. Um, and so maybe we had that kind of like mutual respect for each other. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I've never had a problem with him, and I'm fruity. I've never had a problem with him, and so that's probably why we got along fine. And I wasn't, constantly like berating him, like begging to work for Arcade One Up. Although I did tell him one time, I said, if you need somebody to manage some marketing ideas for you, like let me know, because your company needs help. Like Arcade One Up needs help with the way that they're doing things. And I think I told him that several times, like their marketing is not good. So give me a second here, guys. There we go. Lighting is kind of fluctuating because it's getting cloudy outside. So let me see. Okay, so back to what I was saying. They support YouTubers, or they have YouTubers make content for them that are not good. Like they're not good people. And the whole community knows that. But the irony of it is that the whole community itself still allows that stuff to go on. And the more you encourage it, the more you allow it, the more it's going to happen and the more it's going to go on. So like for those who are complaining and saying like, oh, it's so dramatic and toxic. If you're one of those people that complains and says that like people aren't acting like an adults, well, you're feeding into it just as much then, because the whole thing is that you have people like some of these channels who I don't know, I think let's see where have I seen it? Definitely the Cornercade. Like the Cornercade allows, for example, console fanboy to be in his chat, and that just empowers him because he's narcissistic. So that just empowers him. It gives him the idea that, okay, well, I can get away with calling his wife a big tittied slut, and I'm going to then continue to do super chats to get his attention, to glorify myself, to make reels and videos on. And it just shows that he's supporting him. He's supporting that kind of behavior. And as content creators, that kind of stuff shouldn't be tolerated. I know places where that is absolutely not tolerated in YouTube communities. Content creators do not allow that kind of crap in. And it's like, why does it happen here? Because you're that desperate for money? You're that desperate? Really? That you're gonna tolerate that kind of shit? You're gonna let some guy who called your wife a big tittied slut continue to give you super chats? Good look, dude. I mean, and that's just adds to the list of character deficits that I've seen, which make me not trust people like that. Okay? So it's like it's aggravating, man. Like the community complains, but then they continue to allow the type of behavior to constantly go on and flow, And then people hide and they comment on certain people's stuff and try to keep it low key. And it's like, well, I hate to break it to you, man, but if you comment on somebody's stuff, like it's visible. So it's not low key anymore. But it's like people are so like, it's like being so impulsive. You like literally can't help it. Like that's the way that I kind of see a lot of the viewers and some of the content creators in the Arcade One Up community. And yeah, so I mean, his channel allows it. I'm pretty sure that Console Kit's channel allows it. And that's another thing. Like I don't know about that guy either, because Zohar gave him a picture of me, and I'm not going to go into detail about it, but he gave him a picture of me, and the picture was out there moving around. So I don't know, man. Like and then to let him back in after hearing him talk so much crap about him and just literally belittle him is like, is it really that bad? Like, are the grown men on here, is their self-esteem level that low? And or are they that desperate for money, which I don't think is the case for all people. Are they that desperate, though, that they'll just continue to allow that crap to go on? And they're like, well, it's just YouTube. Like, all right, I guess verbal and mental abuse don't exist on YouTube. Interesting. Interesting. Torpedo. Playing fighting games is what creates impulsivity, or it just feeds into pre-existing impulsivity. But yeah, I mean, like, it's like an ego thing. I don't know, man. But anyways, the leak list, right? So everybody was speculating on this, like, well, what games are coming out from the leak list? And and like, even if there are games coming out from that list, like, so what? What's going to happen next? Then it's going to be like, all right, we immediately get the names for these games that are coming out. But what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And when people say that they're just here to have fun, or that they're just here, to have their arcade machines or talk about their game rooms, and then those same people are going around leaving comments on other people's channels about like, oh yeah, you guys are right on. Oh yeah, that person's a piece of shit. Oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. You know what? That's pretty hypocritical, pretty ironic. Jade is going to share her list. And another thing, all right, I'm going to talk about one of the games right now. Okay, Robotron 2084 is one that they've been teasing for a long time. Okay, and according to the information that I received, Robotron 2084 was supposed to come out in a deluxe or XL or both. And one of the immediate questions that I had, because everybody's mouth is watering over it, is like, well, if that comes out, like, how are people going to play it? Because it's two joysticks. Like, their cabs can be very wobbly, especially if your floor is slightly uneven or you don't put the cab together right, which a lot of people don't put the cabs together right, by the way. And then the cab wobbles and they're like, oh, this cab's so wobbly. You know why it's wobbly? Because you're an idiot and you didn't put it together right. Okay, because you don't know how to do it. And so it's, and they're not heavy cabs. Like, what are you going to do? Put like a couple bricks at the bottom of it? I mean, you're going to have to weight it down somehow. Like, people would play the original Robotron arcade and literally like that thing would be like, scooting, because they'd be like hitting those joysticks so hard. But yeah, I mean, Robotron 2084 was supposed to be one that was going to come out. And at first they were having a hard time with market buy-in. The retailers were like, oh no, there's not enough, basically they didn't want to take the risk on a minimum guarantee for Robotron 2084. So, that just goes to show you how negligent they are. And then it's like, okay, well, who's pitching this stuff to them? Who's talking to them about it? Because obviously, like, Robotron 2084 is one of those games that it's like, they want to come out with Joust, but then they're like, no Robotron. Okay. So, but they have the license to Robotron. Arcade 1UP has the license to Robotron. And they had the proposed cab. They could do it. And my understanding was that in 2024, or early 2025, that there was going to be a Robotron cab. So let me read the comments here real quick. Jade, I want to see you play Super Mario World after being upset. Oh, I'm not upset at all. I'm just being boisterous. Jade is going to share her list. Yep. That's why their wives put them together. That's another funny one. Wife approval. Okay, gaming. Wait, did I miss? Where is that? Because Rev, I see you responding to Menta. Not in fighting game. Where am I? Am I like blind right now? Yes, I'm blind. Oops. Okay. I'll have to look back. All right. And then we have Killer Instinct comes out, and that's all anyone could say. What's next? Right. You have to have a successful sales pitch to get them to buy. If you don't have the sauce, then you don't have the sauce, period. True. Yeah, so anyways, Robotron 2084 is one that is supposed to come out. Like, it's supposed to happen sometime this year or early 2025. And and I'll get into the next one in a bit here. I love twin stick shooters. Yeah. Okay, so what am I going? Oh my God. Sorry guys, I have really bad tinnitus. Ouch. That was weird. Okay, so what am I going to cook tonight? Salmon with Spanish rice, a glass of red wine. Ooh, that sounds good. That sounds really good. Yes, they like to watch in their personal lives. But again, you know, that's something, these are things that can literally be discussed, or Arcade 1UP can hire a professional to make a video talking about, and I'm not talking about like the videos with Cyrus in them, because I mean, it's literally like you could give a kindergartner a camera and tell them to press the record button while it's sitting on a stand, and then put it through their little, you know, pink toy iPad where they edit it. And that's what you get there. But I'm not talking about like broad strokes. I'm talking about, you know, upcoming product releases, things that they're working on, stuff like press releases every once in a while, stuff that like Apple does and companies like that. Yes, they're not Apple, they're not Microsoft, they're not this huge monolithic company, but they're big enough now where they can be doing stuff like that, and they could have been doing it for a while. Okay, they could have been doing it for a while, you know, to update the community, because obviously the community is just beside itself. You know, you've got people running around screaming, foaming at the mouth, you know, hucking their crap at other people, and nobody like knows what's going on. Like, it's like everybody just wants to go to the audience for the Arcade 1UP community is just like the audience. I mean, for, you know, just like the audience for the product just wants to go to the next thing, you know, which is why a lot of these content creators get support, because the audience is just going from one thing to the next. They don't care who that person is or what they've done. It doesn't matter to them. You know, it just doesn't matter. And again, back to Rexer's channel that gets a lot of hate. The Arcade 1UP community is just, his channel is a perfect reflection of the community's behavior and what's going on in the community. And like I said, I don't have any hate for him. I don't always agree with the stuff that he says, or sometimes I know it's not correct, but that is what it is. But what, you know, his channel is no worse than any of the major Arcade 1UP YouTubers that are out there right now. You know, I like people who are calling him a bad guy and saying, like, you know, people are saying stuff about them. If you know something somebody's saying about you, you know, isn't true at this point, it's like, you've been doing YouTube for this long, you have a huge subscriber base. It's like, just let it go. Just let it go. Because you're not going to win that fight. You're not going to win that fight. You know, if you go out and you do something, do it with the expectation that nothing's going to happen, that you're not going to get any support, and that you're going to see the same people that are in your chat in other chats, because that's the reality of the Arcade 1UP community, is that there is a tolerance level like an alcoholic has to 8 bottles of bourbon every day. Okay. Like that's what the tolerance level is like in the community, and it's toxic. All right. The spotted liver on that alcoholic, that's what the Arcade 1UP YouTube community is. Anybody who tells you otherwise, they're lying, or they don't know what they're talking about, or they haven't been in the Arcade 1UP and seen the Arcade 1UP community long enough to know or have enough context about what goes on behind closed doors. So let me see. Just play Robotron on Xbox. Rex opened my eyes to things I thought was going on, but no one ever seemed to address. Mensa. Jade is spitting truth. Robotron 2084 mod kit available summer 2024. Sandbags, 22 wooden screws, and glue it. Yeah. But anyways, I mean, yeah, so if the community continues to support that behavior, like the viewers continue to support that behavior, and then the content creators continue to support that behavior, it's never going to fix itself. It's just never going to fix itself. And, you know, people aren't going to want to talk about what they know or give the full piece of truth, because they want to be able to drag it out. You know, they want to be able to hold out. And who, you know, behind the scenes, like I said, I don't know. Like Travis could be behind the scenes, because I really don't know now. This is just purely speculation. Travis could be behind the scenes pulling strings with some of the more, you know, some of the bigger content creators, maybe even some of the small ones, and giving them information. And that is what it is, you know. So he could be dropping breadcrumbs to them, and that may be all they know at the moment. And then when things change, they look stupid. And, you know, it's not really their fault, but it is, because they took the breadcrumbs in the first place. And once you take those breadcrumbs, you know, it's over. Like it's over. You're taking those breadcrumbs. So it's either let people know, like have some sort of disclaimer in there that like gives you a buffer that says like that this isn't a, you know, for sure thing, but this is the latest information from the development team or from X, Y, and Z, you know, as far as content creators go. But again, Arcade 1UP needs to set up a professional, you know, level thing on their channel where they're having somebody who knows what they're talking about create content and come on and do, you know, 10 to 15 minute videos where they're talking about, you know, stuff for Q1, stuff for Q2, stuff for Q3. Then maybe the community would stop like foaming at the mouth. It's like, you know, when weed was illegal in California, you had a lot of people, you know, a lot of people were getting in trouble and there was more problems with it. And now that it's legal, like you really don't have those problems. And it's the same thing. Like it's the same thing. Like, you know, where do you get it? Where do you find it? You have to jump through hoops to get it. And now you just walk into a store and get it if you want to do that. And so that's like the same thing to me. But you know, instead they're doing the exact opposite. They're trying to have other people who are getting information like, you know, second or third hand, you know, talk about stuff. And again, Travis just disappeared into thin air. And it's not doing well. It's not doing well for the community. It doesn't bode well. And again, they've supported just, you know, hot garbage when it comes to some of the content creators that they choose to work with openly, and then they have nothing to say about it. And they're gonna get away with it. Like nobody's holding Arcade 1UP accountable. They're not gonna be able to. Like newsflash for anybody. No one is going to be able to hold Arcade 1UP accountable for anything they do. You know why? Because they don't acknowledge anything, because they don't care about the community, and because it basically trickles down to the content creators. That's the reality of the situation. And, people want to talk about and speculate on things. And it's like, if you can't tell that the company is changing and might be going in a different direction, you might want to buckle up. Because to me, that's what looks like happening. The company's not going out of business. They're not disappearing. They're not vanishing into thin air. And the licenses aren't gone, but they're going to have to go in a different direction. And let me see. They want the next thing, and they want to wait for deals. Yeah. And that's another thing too, is it's like video games. I heard people talking about physical media versus, of course, we all prefer physical media, but the problem is now, even if you get physical media, what happens? You have to go online and download an update for it, right? You have to immediately go online. You can't play the game until you've downloaded, whatever update it is, day one update. And then you have to put the disc in every time you want to play. All right. But the reality is that our systems aren't set up like they were 20 years ago, where you played one game at a time. You didn't have digital assets on your console. And, people complain about the games being as expensive they are, which they're way overpriced, man. Like $70 for just a digital game is insane. All right. But the thing is, those games go on sale all the time. And it's the same thing with Arcade 1-Up. A new product comes out. Of course, it's going to be priced higher, but then it's going to go on sale. Now, I'm not even going to get into taking a stance on digital versus physical media. That was just an example that I was using for Arcade 1-Up. So if you look at where they are and what they're doing, not everybody has room to just put a ton of their cabinets in their house and stuff like that. Like, they're going to be changing directions. I think they're going to be changing directions. Will they still make cabinets for a while? For sure. And, like I said, Robotron is going to be one of those ones that, unless something major changed or there's some sort of variable in the market that we don't know about, like the last I heard, that was one of the ones that's coming out this year or the beginning of 2025. So the next one up, your biggest hint is that their representative, Travis, has talked about it multiple times, and we talked about it earlier. He's not going to leave Arcade 1-Up until what? Until what comes out? I'll let you guess, chat. Come on. You got it. Someone out there knows. Let me just take a sip of my LaCroix. You can call me Miss Jackson. I mean, I love cabs and my community friends, but it's a wrap. They can't even convince any retailer to stock the most popular games outside of Pac-Man. Yeah, that's another interesting thing too. Taco Bell Tekken collab. Oh my god. Yeah. So Tekken, right? And likely the thing is with Namco is they have a history of doing all their own emulation, so to speak, which every time what they do is they upscale the games and they do their own emulation on it. It looks really good. They do a good job. Okay. Obviously they don't, as far as I know, control the size of the screens and stuff like that. But I'm talking about just software. When Namco does their own stuff, it turns out good. Okay. Ridge Racer, and what's the other one upstairs that I have? Time Crisis. They did a good job with the software. Like, there's no denying it. They did a good job. Okay. But it was Namco, not Arcade 1-Up devs. And that's usually when their stuff turns out the best. Or the best way it possibly could is when they have the original developers do it. All right, so what's going to happen with Tekken? Namco's going to do it. Namco is going to do Tekken. And, whether it's the end of this year or the beginning of 2025, that's going to be the next one that's supposed to be on its way. Now, again, this was the last I heard. This was a while ago. Okay, like I'm talking end of last year time frame, and these cabs are going to be two that I can for sure say were at least supposed to come out this year or the beginning of 2025 at the latest. I've heard things about some of the other Street Fighter games, but I don't know, because I don't know, again, like I don't know the intricacies of the licensing with those games, like the Alpha series and Third Strike and all those. I really don't know the intricacies of it. So I can't say for certain if those are going to happen. I know that they, like a long time ago, CES advertised those, and that they have licenses, they have the means to do it, but I don't know what the situation is now. But the two that I can say for sure are ones that are coming out, and this is just to like bite off this speculative stuff that's been going on. It was supposed to be Robotron and Tekken. Okay? But the problem is now that Arcade 1-Up is in a different state, like business-wise. And we, the community, the Arcade 1-Up community hasn't seen anything that confirms or denies anything that they've dealt with in the past. And it's like, knowing Travis, I don't talk to Travis anymore, but knowing Travis, he doesn't want to deal with it. Like he would rather be behind the curtain because it's too overwhelming. I mean, like the crowd is crazy. The intricacies of dealing with the company and dev stuff, like it's nuts. And there's so many broken strings of communication, which is, just add that to the list of problems with Arcade 1-Up as a company. And the other thing is too, is that you have to understand, like these YouTubers and myself included that have been around and watched Arcade 1-Up move and grow as a company. They've basically watched it evolve. That's how you understand how the company works. Viewers just know what they hear, but when you see what's going on behind the scenes and you see who and what the company is supporting, and, sometimes not speaking at all is taking a stance on something, and not addressing a thing at all is taking a stance on something. And they've done that multiple times. Okay. They've done it multiple times. And, I don't expect people to come in this stream and watch what they, watch this and hear what I'm saying and leave and then, not support all the content creators that I've mentioned or that I've talked about or brought up. That's not the point of the stream. Like the point of the stream is to bring clarity to what's going on, because nobody wants to say it. Like nobody wants to talk about these things. And, and in most cases, unfortunately, like this is what's going on. And Arcade 1-Up doesn't have to say anything because they haven't said anything in so long that they're acknowledging that they're just okay with, basically the Arcade 1-Up community stabbing at each other's gut and throat, and as long as they keep on buying stuff as soon as it comes out. It's just like, it's total insanity, man. It's total insanity. 1-Up's HQ has Venetian blinds in all windows. It's a scan line thing. Oh, I just unsubbed to a bunch of people. Shut up, Paul. But so that's not the point though. I mean, my point is that, except for Console Fanboy, like for the love of God, why do you like, please don't support that man. I mean, if you want to, it's a free country, but Jesus. It's just constant toxicity, man. And like, they allow it to go on. Like, they don't make a statement. And that's why it keeps happening. And, you know, the community is allowing it to happen, and the content creators. And that's it. Okay. And so that's what's going on. That's where licensing is with, you know, Arcade 1UP and John D. And those two games are for sure games that I was told were supposed to come out the end of this year or beginning of 2025. Now, again, just keep in mind, take it with a big grain of salt, because that might not be going that direction anymore. I don't know. But what I will tell you is that you have a lot of other options outside of Arcade 1UP. If you want a basic fighting game cabinet, like, newsflash, guys, there was never really cabinets in the 90s, which was when most of the good fighting games started coming out, that were dedicated cabinets. So you can get kits for pretty cheap and build your own 3/4 scale or full-size cabinet that plays multiple games and theme it as your favorite fighting game cabinet. I mean, and you know, you can use the thing of, oh, it's not licensed or whatever. What is licensed? What is licensed? All that stuff is biodegradable, man. Like, do what you like. So, $9mm. Oh, bang bang. Wa-da-dee-da. Shut up, Paul. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Right. Well, yeah, no, I mean, that's true. That's true. He has, you know, a personality disorder. Like, a legit personality disorder. Like, he's mentally ill. But the thing is that content creators, they can just keep blocking every alt account that comes in. They can do things. They can prevent it. They can make it worse by taking a stand. And, you know, that's the facts. That's the facts. So, but I mean, again, and that's all the type of stuff that the community allows, the content creators allow, which is empowering. And then, you know, meanwhile, Arcade 1UP is kind of like umbrellaed over things, and they want information to get disseminated through YouTube, but they don't want to be associated with it. They don't want to make a statement. And that's what you got going on here. You know, so which is why, like, at this point, I'm like, I don't even see, you know, Rexer to me is like not a villain, which is why I started off with that. And, you know, at this point, like, people vilifying what his channel is completely hypocritical. So, Jason, you know, I don't know, guys. Ask yourself this question, though. What kind of a community do you want? What kind of a gaming community do you really want? Because if there's no news from Arcade 1UP, then we should be talking about gaming. If there's no news from any gaming company, there's thousands and thousands of games to play or things to talk about. There's other products to look at, and it can be more of a supportive community. It's not ever going to be perfect. There's always going to be dickheads, but you know what? Most dickheads just want like a little bit of attention, and sometimes you just got to kind of, you know, give them a little pat on the back and say, it's going to be all right, buddy. I don't block people who leave negative comments on my channel in general. I don't, unless it's like it's like a continued cycle that I like see, because I don't even always see the comments that come on my channel anymore. I don't block people. I don't like, oh, this person said I'm stupid. I don't give a shit. Like, that's fine. Say that. But what I do block is people who are malicious, like, and I'm talking psychotically malicious, and I don't allow that kind of crap to go on. Digital Schizo, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you. I don't know what goes on Discord, Andy, but again, that's another thing with content creators is like, who's allowing, like, all this stuff is like, who's enabling the behavior, like who's allowing this kind of behavior to go on, and again, it comes down to the viewers and the content creators. But going back to that, what I was saying is just ask yourself what kind of a community you want it to be. Do you want it to be a community where people are just total garbage and it's allowed, it's supported, enabled by viewers and content creators? Because if that's what you want, that's what's going to keep happening. And by saying that's what you want, don't do anything. Just keep doing the same stuff, or just give up because you get tired of going against the current. Otherwise, it's going to take work, and it's going to take the community actually caring enough to say, to ask questions, to put people on blast and say, like, well, how do you know that? Without getting angry about everything too. Like, anger and ego is like a huge thing. So there's several different angles, that people have to think about. Like, well, what really makes this matter so much that I have to get like emotionally involved in this? And I just would really strongly like advise people, like, think about what you want in the Arcade 1UP community. If you want it to be a good place, if you do want it to be a good place, then pay attention to what's going on. Maybe listen to people. All right. Listen to people who have ways of either proving that what they're saying is true, or that, from your experience in the past, because a lot of you have experience in this community, even as viewers, that that what they're saying has some sort of lineage to it where you can make a connection. Okay. And, support the kind of behavior, or enable the kind of behavior that you guys want to see in the community. Otherwise, it's just going to stay. It's going to be this cesspool of ill-knowledged, YouTubers who want to make a buck and don't care about basically gaming, okay, or making the community better. Ask yourself what some of these content creators have actually done for the community. And you'll know, like, you'll see content creators who have made content that is community oriented, even if it's one or two, like, 1, 2, or 3 things that are, you can tell, like, they did it to help somebody. And then really look at, like, what's going on in the space, and ask yourself what kind of community you want it to be. Because, otherwise everybody, like, continuing to buy into all the BS that's going on, and realize that you're not going to get answers unless you do something, like you take action and do something. You're not going to get, like, the answers that you want, and you're going to be thrashed about. You're going to be thrown all over the place. You're going to be confused, and people aren't going to know exactly what's going on. I mean, I see it on Reddit. I see it on YouTube. And it's like a never ending cycle. And so that's what this stream is for. I hear you. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Digital Schizo says, I hear you. Let's go Birds. Is that like a sports team? Um, well, if that's your sports team, let's go Birds. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Well, chat, we got about 15 minutes left here before I'm going to cut off my huge long stream rant. And I'm curious to hear some of your guys' feedback and see what you guys think, about the community. And I mean, as Akuma Rev says, sadly, the answer to your question is yes. They want that type of trash community. The actions have shown it over and over again. And it's unfortunate, but it's probably true. I think, it's really like crappy to say this, Rev, but I kind of feel the same way, But it really is like I'm being serious when I say the viewers can make a difference or the content creators can make a difference, and you can see a lot of times like who the people are who are just trying to like come here and talk about, Arcade 1UP or whatever. And I don't care, like, I have my opinions about Arcade 1UP, which obviously I just shared a lot of them with you guys. But I also have products of theirs that I've liked or I've taken, and that is something that only they have done, that is great for, my setup or whatever. But I refuse to support them anymore. I refuse to support them as a company, because of their stance and their lack of stance on a lot of things. And I think that that's something that people need to look at. I think that people really need to look at that. Like, this is a company who lacks a stance on, fundamentally moral situations. And it's not about being, it's just about like straight up like treating people with some like dignity, man. Just treat people with dignity. Like, everybody, okay, it's totally a human thing. Everybody's gonna go and like have their conversations with friends, make jokes about people and stuff like that. But it's completely different when you publicly humiliate people, or you support by not saying anything that type of public humiliation, and all these other things that we've talked about that go on. So I hate it when you have people talking about stuff, and then when you call them out, they then claim they aren't experts. But then why are they talking about it? Yeah. Jade, has anyone shared the toxic behavior with a big retailer? Arcade 1UP will listen to them. They won't listen to us. Sheline, sorry to come in late. I've always been here for gaming and a great community, not into drama or BS. Sheline Gaming question, what is your favorite candlelight dish? Candlelight dish? Dark Realm Gaming getting soft on me in here. You know what? Good candlelight dishes usually consist of like maybe some Hawaiian fusion, like really good, like legit, really good, like handmade pasta, stuff like that, I would say. I'm a casual follower of A1UP content YouTubers. Who specifically are the creators you're referring to? I take each day and say to myself, you never know what someone else is going through. That's another thing too. Yeah. That's a really good point, Dan. You never know what people are going through, dude. And I'm telling you, like, some of these content creators are going through some ish. Lady and the Tramp person, eh? But to go back to, let me see, there's two questions. So Kevin Clausen said, Jade, toxic behavior with a big retailer. I can't say I know if people have. I mean, like, the problem is, though, is that these big retailers, like, there's really no way to get through to them, and they probably just laugh it off. Just like they laughed when, Arcade 1UP laughed at Mensa when he brought up the use of the N-word thing, which bothered him. And, to be frank, it bothers me. And it bothers me because why is Arcade 1UP okay with that? Or why are they not saying they are or they aren't? You know, why are they not taking a stance on it? So, but I mean, they don't really listen unless you have a big voice. Like if Mr. Beast said something, then people would give a shit. Um, and then what was the next one? Sheline Gaming question. Okay. I'm a casual follower of Arcade 1-Up content YouTubers. Who specifically are the creators you're referring to? Will H, in what, referring to about what exactly? Because there was a lot of different references, so I really don't want to make, say something that's out of context, if that makes sense. Walmart does have to play by anyone's rules but their own. Yeah, that's very true. And if their rules are making money, then they're not going to hear, you know, my little tiny voice. I've tried, man, with a lot of people. This hair is like in my eye. Okay, there we go. Get off me, bro. Dude, I'm getting poked in the eye. My own hairs are assaulting me. I'm gonna sue him. All right, let's see. Scott the Waz video really was a huge shot in the face to A1-Up. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Best Buy gas employee rules. Will H, I really want to answer your question. I just need to know in reference to which thing that I was saying, if you will. The N-word, but Narc was a good game. Narc was a good game. Oh, here we go. Thanks for taking my question. I'm referring to creators that are creating a toxic environment. When I say creators were creating a toxic environment, I mean by enabling the behavior of other content creators or viewers that it really shouldn't be permissible. I mean, and I was talking about how there's other communities on YouTube that completely do not tolerate that kind of stuff. But when I'm talking about, for example, it's like Justin Console Kits allows Console Fanboy into his into his streams to super chat and make his jokes and stuff like that. And then Danny the Cornercade, he allows him in there after he called his wife a big tittied slut and said that he saw his tattoo on her chest and it says come closer so I can suck your D, and stuff like that. And I don't understand why people are enabling that kind of crap, like allowing it to continue to go on. So your dinner is almost done. So that was what I was referencing. I think Michael B has blocked Console Fanboy. Hey, you are awesome, Hermosa. Thanks, Digital Schizo. And thanks for the super chats. Yikes, that's quite crazy to allow that. Yeah, so it's things like that though. And those are like enabling behaviors. It's empowering, and it's just, there's been multiple times where he's made fun of people like for having mental disabilities, and this is a mental health professional you're talking about here. Like, it's not just someone, it's like a mental health professional on YouTube, who allegedly works with children. I mean, you tell me. Yes, Dark Realm Gaming. Thank you. I mean, I know it means that. But I'm just being funny. Right. Yeah. If you guys haven't seen, I basically ended up making 2 videos. Like, I did live streams, which were basically like feints. And I made 2 videos to put to have all that in context, where I go through audio clips like uncut, and you can hear the whole story. But I mean, they're in my videos, and you can see like what he is capable of. And it's pretty dark. It's pretty sinister, but it's just funny, right? So again, if you guys check those out, you will have a better understanding of why I think it's important not to enable that kind of behavior, not to allow it, and in the community. And, that's not, it is gatekeeping, but it's not bolstering anybody's freedom of speech. It's using freedom of speech, by making certain moves. Blocking somebody is your freedom of speech. Newsflash. That's right. Blocking somebody is your freedom of speech. You're a douchebag. I don't want to hear what you're saying anymore because it's annoying. So I'm blocking you because you're immature, and that's my right as a YouTuber or as a viewer. So people saying that blocking people is bolstering their freedom of speech, no, it's not. Like when you have a repeated behavioral pattern that is violating people's humanity, that's a problem. That is a problem. I mean, even in society, people would not allow that kind of stuff to go on. So don't tell me that that's woke culture, because I don't even like woke culture. I don't like woke culture. I mean, you ask anyone who knows me. Woke culture actually pisses me off. I believe in humanity, like, people having fundamental human rights and the right to live their lives happily in the way that they want to, in a fulfilling manner, as long as it doesn't impede on anybody else's life in a harmful way, i.e. murder and stuff like that, or immoral things when it comes to children and stuff like that. People have the right to live their life how they want. So people who think freedom of speech are too stupid to understand freedom is for the government to not infringe. People and organizations can absolutely allow for free speech. Censorship perfectly allowed. Some are not for everybody, like sometimes I'm not for everyone. Go America. He's scared that the nut job is going to come after him. And see, that's another thing too. Like I know for sure that there are people in the community who he has dirt on, and that's definitely a tactic to use, to manipulate people with. You don't even have to say anything. Like if you've got a ton of dirt on people, like you don't have to say anything. I mean, that's just like something you got in your back pocket. So they're not going to want to, they're not going to want to challenge you, right? Like, how dare you challenge me? Total narcissistic mindset. I'm immature. You better not block me. Shut up, Paul. Paul Bears, everyone. And Bonos, Tecmo, Mensa, if you're still in here. And do I have any other mods in here? But thank you guys. A shout out to my mods, everyone in the chat. Give them a hand because they're awesome. They're always here when I live stream, whether it's Mario World or a rant. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And members, viewers alike, I appreciate you guys being in here and being civil adults and just talking about this. I think that's an important thing. That like I really want to bring back is being civil and knowledgeable. Not everybody's perfect. Like people may lose their temper sometimes and stuff, but the problem is like people just take shit so personally. And the only way I can see that mattering is when it's between one content creator and another who have been friends. Nobody likes being betrayed. Brooklyn Menace says, we blocked that dude a long time ago. Everywhere he is blocked is totally cool vibe in the chat room. Yeah. At the same time, it takes a load off and the individual there is smashing in social media and gets them nowhere. That's Dark Realm Gaming. But yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing. Like if you go into any chat room where that kind of behavior doesn't exist, like everybody in there is having a better time. More people will talk. I watch stuff all the time. I'm just quiet. I don't say anything. Most of the time I don't say anything because I think that there's people that just other content creators that don't like me. Like they think whatever they think, I don't know, and they don't like me. So I don't really like talking anymore. But uh that is what it is. And again, I'm not complaining, but that's why I am generally just quiet. But I observe. I see what's going on. Because I still like arcade stuff. I want to see what's going on, and I pay attention. And most of what's going on now is nothing. There's nothing going on. It's been a lot of like speculative. Somebody hurt my feelings. People are talking about me. Just weird stuff. And again, it goes back to the whole Arcade One Up not communicating with its consumer base. Yeah, and pinball. Everybody got into pinball, which is fine. That's cool. But it's like, that's another thing too. It's like, dude, just like branch out. Like, just go back to like gaming, like just gaming. But I don't know. Crap, I think I burned my minute ride e-hole. Okay. Yeah, so anyways, I don't know, guys. Chat. Crazy, right? Crazy. Rice. Got it. Crazy stuff. That's my take, and that is why I look. Again, and I'm telling you guys this because if you want to know where to go to find information, it's there. All right. In my interview with John D a year ago, he talked about stuff in there that has to do with licensing and really has like will give you like a little bit more clairvoyance on how it actually works. So if you're curious, uh, go check that out. Digital Schizo, you are awesome. You are awesome. Arcade, don't worry. Thank you. Thank you very much for the super chat. Which creators do you recommend if I just want to get good solid Arcade One Up info without the drama? Are there any right now? I guess the closest I could say would be who's Dan's guys? Dan. Oh my god, like Neon Sunshine, Neon Sunride. What? It's God, I can't remember. Okay. Well, I would say, anyways. Somebody's gonna think of it in the chat. But who are Dan's guys that do the arcade show? Arcades Anonymous. Sorry, for the love of God, check out Arcades Anonymous and probably Kong's. I would say are the two, where it's gonna be like that. Maybe 19K Fox. I haven't really seen much of his stuff lately, but probably those three, I would say, would be your best bet. Let's see. Do. Black Ball Top. B is great. Yep. Arcades Anonymous. Yeah, good bunch of peeps. Good for sharing your feedback. Felt good to hear. Oh, thanks, Kevin. Always support B. Yeah, B's a good guy. He's cool. He was like the first YouTuber I met in person. Always been really nice. And I think he's about community. He's kind of stepped off and just is doing his own thing. But he definitely cares about the community, and I know that's why he shares a lot of his modding stuff and his passion with the community. So that's cool. Um, let me see. Rascals, That Arcade Show. Okay, Rascals, That Arcade Show. Thanks, Jade, for the show. Time for pizza. Pizza time. Thanks, Paul. Protect Mrs. Kong. See you, Kevin. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks. Yeah, so those ones for sure. AA guys rule. One of Rascals make a comment saying she line. Wait, I just saw one of Rascals. What? She lion? Yeah, that's my nickname. She lion. Because you know I'm lying about everything. I'm a liar. I just make things up. I can fabulate things, guys. I do it because I want you to see me and look at me and get me more. You know what? I'm probably gonna lose subs for doing this stream. But yeah, I love confabulating and lying about things. You can tell it's how my brain works. I feed off of it. Delicious. Biggie D is good people. Biggie D is a good guy. He's a good guy. I don't know about his info, but he's a good guy. One of the hosts said shill line and she line. That was in reference to when you said you sent your KI back, but then opened it the next day. Oh, that was no, my Fast and Furious, yeah. Which, by the way, I feel like I have to tell everybody this again. I literally trolled the community. You want to know why? I was being harassed, dude. Like, it's annoying. Like, I just wanted to like do my own thing, and so yeah. I mean, I trolled the community. So what? I did not harm anybody in the process of doing that. You know, sometimes YouTubers, like, it's overwhelming. That's something that viewers don't understand. It gets overwhelming. And not all YouTubers will admit this, but every YouTuber deals with it. And I'm not even a big channel. I'm a little teeny tiny channel, like teeny tiny. And it's, you know, there's an Arcade 1UP community, like, where you get a lot of people wanting to see the new product and know where it is, what it's doing, blah, 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 and just talking about every single thing about it. Like, oh, we think, you know, a forklift picked it up 10 minutes ago. Oh my God, you know what? I think the forklift moved it an hour ago. You know, it gets overwhelming. So the way I worded it very wordy in a way to where I could get away with trolling the community because I didn't want to deal with it. Like, I just wanted to go into a dark closet and wait for it to get here and then build it and make my video. So yeah, exactly, Andy. It was not meant to be serious or whatever. But yeah, I mean, people call me she line. I think it's so funny because I openly state, you know, that I was trolling everybody, and I really didn't lie, if you think about it. Sorry, I'm talking so much, my lips are like gonna dry up. Totally off topic, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Ambernick 556. I haven't seen it yet, JJ, but I'll look into it and we'll talk about it on the next live stream. You like him though, no beef. I don't have any beef. I mean, like I said, people are gonna say what they're gonna say, you know, and half the time people say what they say out of ignorance, like they don't know the full story. If you went and you listened to what somebody else said about me and you think that it's 100% true, you're probably wrong. Like, to do that with anybody, not just me, with anybody, to hear one person's opinion and think that it's true, not knowing the full range of the story or investigating for yourself and looking into it, that's not right. Like, that's not how you should do things. And you can do that thing that you can do things that way if you want to, but you're not helping yourself and you're certainly not helping anybody else, because then you're just buying into whatever people tell you. I mean, are you one of those people that thinks the government is your friend? Like, that's what I think of when I think of people who believe things that they hear from other people about other people. Are you one of those people that thinks the government's your friend? Are you one of those people that like thinks there's a right side right now in 2024? you're in for a big surprise at some point in your life. So somebody calling me a liar or saying what I'm saying isn't true, like obviously, clearly is ignorant and has no context of anything. You know, if people are doing that because they're defending themselves for something stupid that they did too, still no context. Yeah, so that's my take. I have been enjoying James Hates Everything channel as well as Evil Genius. Evil Genius Entertainment. Yeah, I saw that channel. That channel got big, man. And that's a pretty neutral channel, I think. I think he's been like, but he seems like fairly knowledgeable. I think he's been wrong about a few things, but he usually corrects it. I mean, so that's actually a pretty good channel. I think he's more arcade centric, period, like 3/4 scale in general. I totally agree with what you said. Just a waste of Hadoukens. I like that one. I have been okay, yeah, I read that. So yeah. I mean, think about that, guys, too. Like, if you see one content creator saying something about another content creator, fact check it as much as you can. You know, it's like I told you guys, for example, the whole situation with KFB. Like, just go listen, watch those videos. There's your receipts are right there. Quality YouTube, very high production value. Yeah. Yeah, pretty good. G-Line, are there any handhelds that they sell where all game systems are preloaded on it? Not all game systems. I don't think all game systems, but like up to PlayStation 1, the RG35XX would probably be your best bet. I would say the Miu Mini, but it's a little bit too small. And I don't even have big hands. So if you got like beef eater hands, then, you know, you'd probably want to go with the RG35XX, which is going to be this one right here. It's really a great little thing. I think I got mine on sale for like $50 on Amazon. And then this is the 353V, which is more powerful and obviously has the analogs. Also a great one. About twice the price, though. JJ says, my own 2 cents on politics. Go Kennedy, Biden is toast. Kennedy was an old school liberal, which is basically like conservatives today. Trump is polarizing, yada, yada, yada. Corporations in other countries. Man, it's a mess. RG35XX is awesome. Hoping to upgrade to... There's a new... JJ, what's the new one that you were just asking me about? The other one that's from Retro Handhelds? I have one bigger toe. The Plus soon. Okay. Yeah. I think something that has not been talked about as much as it deserves. Step sibling. Ow, hate arcade. Step pinball and video games. Yeah, it is kind of bastardized, which is weird. It shouldn't be, because it's always been there. One thing I'll say for Kennedy, we'll get Bigfoot files. Yeah. My toes are hairy. Andy's game room has hairy toes, everybody. Government just wants for tax revenue. God, tax money. But JJ, if you can remember, I can't remember the name of it right now. It's, what was it called? The retro something. The new handheld though. It's like a RGB or an RG 505 eater is what it looks like. I kind of want to check that out. Andy, that sounds attractive. Oh my goodness, you guys are funny. Good God, it's 4:45. Oh my God, you guys. Okay, I'll just go 15 more minutes since we've already made it past the 4:30 mark. Holy crap. RG 505, 405. Yeah, but there was another brand. It's like called Retro something. Retro handheld, Retro Pocket. I think Retro Pocket. Maybe. Perhaps. Yeah. Well, chat, I'm gonna give this 15 minutes to you. Let's go. Ask me. Well, ask me almost anything. Um, but yeah, if you guys have any other points you want to bring up or talk about, like, feel free to talk about it right now. Gaming related, subject related to what the stream was about. Please do. Toe-headed and hairy toes. What a catch. Are there any handhelds that will have or play all Laserdisc games? I want to play Cliffhanger. Oh, I don't know about having. I'm sorry I can't answer that part for you. Yeah, I don't know which ones might have Laserdisc games, but I know that there are handhelds that are capable of playing Laserdisc games, and that would be like, I think the 353V. So this one, and then there are other variants of that which are shaped this way, but like this one would also be able to play Laserdisc games. I've never put Laserdisc games on a handheld though, so I don't know. I mean, I know I could figure it out, but I don't know much about it, so I don't want to say too much. But they're capable of doing it, yes. So if you want to know if just they're capable, yes, those would be some of your choices. I think when different editions, Taito, etc. Andy, LOL, Royal Rumble time. Have a great weekend. All right, you too, Rev. Take it easy. Thanks for hanging. Good luck with the Rumble. Let's see. Political earnings in that direction is automatically at odds with someone like Feline. Retroid Pocket 4. Yeah, that's it. Plus. The Retroid Pocket 4 Plus. I like the Ambernick, but I love yeah, so the Retroid Pocket 4 Plus looks like it might be a 505 eater. And their design is cool. They have like 4 different shells to choose from. They're all really pretty. And it's going to be more powerful. I did look into the chipset. It's definitely more powerful, but I think it has an IPS screen instead of an OLED screen, which, battery is like a huge thing. So thank you again for the super chat, Digital Schizo. Let's play Mario Paint Flies. I will play Mario Paint Flies on my next stream, Digital Schizo. I promise. That'll be what I open with. Let's see, did I miss anything there? Thank you for your help. I'm looking to purchase RGX, I guess. Daphne, I mean, yeah. Well, here's the thing: the emulators are already preloaded usually. So if they're the ones that are like Linux based or Linux based, whatever it's called, then usually the emulators are already there. You just have to pull the memory card out, and then drop games onto the folder. So if you can look around on like Archive and stuff, and usually people have like builds that you can just drag and drop into those folders. But yeah, the emulators are there. So it's just a matter of getting the games on there. OLED makes such a difference. It does. It does. Let's see. Family Values 99. Archive is great for that. Yeah, Archive is like a mystical, magical place. Did I miss Third time. Oh, sorry. Okay, Sheline Gaming's question for you. The third time I'm asking this, but do you drink any wine? And if yes, yeah, I drink wine. But you've never seen my streams where I'm drinking wine, huh? There's a couple of brands that I like, but one of my favorite go-to red wines, and I'm trying to, wow, because I don't even look anymore. I just get it. I can't remember if it's like blended or, but it's a cab. I think it's a cab, and it's a brand called Justin, and I really like that brand. For cheaper wine, like 14 Hands is pretty good. So yeah. Let's see. Garlic OS on the 35XX. Yeah, Garlic OS is pretty good. Yeah, most come with a dual. Nice red wine. That's my girl. Yeah, red wine is my fave. I usually like smooth blends, cabs and stuff like that. I don't like it dry. Let's see. JJ says true on the 4 Plus LCD. I think the new Ambernick is OLED. Joe, very eye-opening, but only problem. I tend to like a blush or white. Really? The best white wine I ever had was in Napa Valley, and I was at a winery, and it was a relative's close friend. They own their own winery, and had, God, it was beautiful property, and they had like $900 bottles, $1,200 bottles of white wine and red wine, for everybody to sample. It was a small party, only personal or close friends. And so we got brought along, and oh my God, that was like the best white wine that I've ever had. If all white wine was that good, I would probably drink it more. But I'm more of a red fan anyways. But the red wine that I had, like the $1,200 bottle of red wine, was just like so good. It was the best. It was the best. Yeah. Laysai. What else we got? Dan Z's watching WWE as well. Mario flies. Oh, nice. Justin is a cab, right? Or Merlot. Is there a Merlot version of it? Probably do a blend of Malbec Cab and Cab Franc. Trying to emulate the French, but I don't drink anymore, so can't say for sure. Yeah, I don't drink often. That's for sure. Like Out of This World, you recommend? Like Out of This World? You mean the white wine? I don't remember what brand it was. That's the best part. Oh my God, I got so wasted that day though. Whew. That was a rough next morning. My favorite wine is the semi-sparkling Muscat from either that or Dreamer from Aurora Colony Vineyards. Oh. See, I'm cheap though. Like I just buy most of my stuff at Target. So I'm like, when I do get wine, top shelf is like $45. So I'm like, $45. I'm living large tonight. Wine, Michael and David's Freak Show. Piggly Wiggly. I tried that like the Snoop Dogg wine, and cause wait, who's that? What's the brand though? I'm trying to think of that brand because I have like I kind of like that brand sometimes, but their wine is always like a little bit dry. And God, what's the brand that did Snoop Dogg's wine? Um, you know what's funny though, Goofy Foot is Sam's Club actually has decent wine for like what you get for the price. Like it's actually not bad. Um, God, it starts with like an A. I can't remember the name of it. But you know, it's like for me, it's like when I drink, it's either wine or whiskey or like a really good bourbon. Those three things are kind of like my go-to. If I'm Apothic, yes, Apothic, thank you. That's it. So Apothic did the Snoop Dogg wine, right? Or was that his own brand? 19 Crimes, yeah. Yeah, 19 Crimes. Um, the Dreamer is Wait, the Dreamer is a if you have not tried one, fix that. Yes, sir. Yeah. 19 Crimes though, that's it. I think it's Apothic. And usually their wine is like a little bit dry. It was okay. Like it wasn't it wasn't like really like the best, but it wasn't terrible, you know. But I think that was the last time I kind of like branched outside of like my norm because like I said I don't drink a lot. Um, so when I do, I kind of just go to something that I'm comfortable with, unless there's something that's really enticing, you know, and I'm just like, ooh, I gotta try that. I gotta give it a shot. Um, but yeah. All right, we got about 5 minutes chat, and I'm going to wrap it up. Um, I know it's kind of a crazy stream. Like, I hope like there was something out of it that you guys found useful. Uh, just as far as information goes, I'm just tired of seeing people like you know with all this speculative stuff and like the community is just it's again it's a cesspool right now and you know yeah I'm over here like doing my thing but I still see it and it's like I don't know this stream will probably do absolutely nothing but I feel like at least I said something and talked about it as far as like information goes and what the viewers should be really demanding of the content creators in that space. I think you know is fairness, professionalism, maybe clarity of information. Let's see. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for help on handhelds. Hey, no problem, Dan. I will I'll keep that in mind though. I'm definitely gonna have some more handheld content in the future. I'm always down for margaritas. Wasted away again in Margaritaville. Mensa, you're not going to bed. Let's see. Anyone can walk into a liquor store, spend $50, and walk out with a good bottle of wine. The key is going into some place like a grocery store and finding a $10 bottle that kicks ass. Yeah, yeah. If you can do that. But there's also this thing. If I drink more expensive wine, and I'm dead serious, this is a real thing. If I drink more expensive wine, I do not have a hangover the next day. Same thing with bourbon and whiskey. But if I drink cheap stuff, guaranteed hangover. It's like drinking like Paps over, like real filtered Bud Light or whatever. Oh, sorry. I forgot everybody hates Bud Light. I'm thinking back to like my 20s and teens. Why you gotta call me out? Let me see. Hereford Jam, Hermosa, my song, Margaritaville. Yeah, I mean, I'm impartial. I'm just like, whatever. Everybody hated Bud Light because of that. What's her name? Always some stupid, just pathetic thing for people to pick away at. Entitled Americans. Keg stands. Oh, those are the days. Because you're drinking bad stuff. Yeah. I like Bud Light, but I kind of prefer PBR. Sue me. Well, I mean, if that's what your bloodstream's used to, man, keep on trucking. You know? But anyways, you guys, thank you again. Thank you everybody for the super chats. Thank you mods, and chat, and thanks everybody for being civil and just listening and having a conversation. Hey, I appreciate it. I felt like I had to get that stuff off my chest, and you know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But y'all have a good, safe weekend. I can't believe I just was thinking to myself, oh, is today Saturday? Like, yes, it's Saturday. I actually slept in today, and it was good. It was very good. But yeah, you guys stay safe, and you know, just be aware. Be aware. Be aware, and do your best, I guess, you know, for yourself. And you know, if you guys care about the community, try and make it better. But I'll be here on this channel, and working on actually two other channels, one totally unrelated to gaming and one that's like a cross between gaming and something else. You guys will see that, you know, within the next month here. So so yeah, you guys, thank you. Wait, let it night never say in public. What? You keep doing that. All right, thanks, Jason. Y'all stay safe. Have a good weekend, okay? And play some good games. Get in on some games. Beat a game this weekend. Beat an old 80s game. You'll feel good. Guarantee it. All right? I'll see you guys next time.